Well, here we go again with some wonderful nuggets of wisdom regarding prayer. Not sure if I've shared this with you, but I actually have a commission through the Holy Spirit to teach about prayer. So let me tell you what the Holy Spirit revealed to me on April 28, 2024. Prayer gives us a cleansing process. It connects us with God's spiritual communicative process. Words in prayer are infused, influence, and intermingle with life, the love, righteousness, holiness, power, and virtue that is in Jesus. In other words, the essence of heaven flows through our prayers. Ugly words produce chaos, confusion, conflict, torment, mental distress, and social disturbance. Words in prayer can stimulate peace. They can cultivate hope. They can usher in healing, and they can reduce physical stress. Words in prayer can affect our chemical balance to bring things into perfect order. Our spiritual imbalances are perfected, and prayer also ignites heavenly desires. It stimulates spiritual understanding and validates our relationship with God while revealing our spiritual weaknesses, and it bridges the gap between our shortcomings and God's throne. Prayers clean up the gray areas and dark areas of our mind. And guess what? Prayer intrinsically draws us to a pure, acceptable, and perfect demonstration of the holiness and righteousness of God in our walk and in our talk. It's pretty hard to be ugly when you're praying. A praying tongue is not a cussing tongue. A praying tongue is not a backbiting tongue. A praying tongue is a tongue that clings to hope and builds trust. A praying tongue is one that submits itself to the will of God. Jesus prayed in submission to God in the Garden of Gethsemane. He said, Father, please take this bitter cup away from me, but nevertheless, let your will be done. When Jesus instructed us on how to pray, when the disciples asked Jesus, Lord, teach us to pray, he said, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Let thy will be done here on earth, even as it is in heaven. In other words, he said we should pray in submission to heavenly things instead of earthly things. A praying tongue sweeps away every weight and sin that so easily besets us. A praying tongue is a spiritual scalpel that slices away poisonous buildup of waste and decay and harmful suppositions, non-holistic insinuations, and demonstrably harmful philosophies from our hearts. A praying tongue is like a street sweeper that cleans our highways in the middle of the night. It removes debris from the social interactions which are less than pleasant. It helps bring our minds into alignment with Christ. A praying tongue keeps our hearts calibrated properly and in sync and interlocked with the way of Christ, the truth, and the life of Christ. A praying tongue is the way. A praying tongue is naturally drawn to expressions of truth. A praying tongue is not accepting of lies, deceit, manipulation, and rebellion. A praying tongue casts off the vestiges of darkness. It shakes off hate. It shakes off fear. It shakes off doubt. A praying tongue is like spinach to Popeye. It's like creatine to a weightlifter. A praying tongue is a fire starter and motivator for the soul. It reminds us of the sovereignty of God. It reminds us of the authority and promises of God. It reminds us of the omnipotence of God. A praying tongue is an active spiritual munition. Many a victorious heart has benefited from a condition preceding called prayer. Many an accomplishment has found its footing upon a foundation laid in prayer. A praying tongue takes us out of the flesh and presents us to Christ through his word, by his word, for his word. Here's a nugget that just came to me at 10:45 a.m. on June 15th. A praying tongue must necessarily go through Jesus, the word that became flesh, unequivocally and boldly declares to us that no one comes to the Father unless they go through the Son. Further, we're informed that Jesus is our intercessor who intercedes for us continually with the Father. A praying tongue is a tool of spiritual construction. So guess what on this day? You have just learned the most amazing things about prayer. Now, Bob the Builder can't be the only one out there building something that's worth value, right? So you've got your tongue, and Jesus is the foundation. Lay some bricks down. Lay some lumber down. Lay some metal down. Lay some fodder down. Lay down some prayers and nurture the blessings of God that are set for you. Call your visions into being. Don't neglect to open your mouth and express what's in your heart to God so he can hear you, respond to you, help you, and bless you. Have an absolutely wonderful day.